Thanks for clicking through to Chamber Chat, and these are one-on-one interviews with business and political leaders in our community. And today in our community, I've got a very rare opportunity to sit down with the Chief Administrative Officer of the City of Cambridge. He'd rather be called the City Manager, Gary Dyke. Gary, how are you?
Thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. You and I talk an awful lot, but we don't get the opportunity to talk publicly, and I think that's really something that I want to make sure that we give you that opportunity on a regular basis, because there's some important things happening in the community that the broader community and certainly the business community needs to know. So hopefully we can do this on a regular basis and you can bring us all up to date as to what's going on. But
absolutely, Greg, because I think it's really important that we stay connected with the Chamber as the conduit to business and the community at large, because we have a lot of activities going on, a lot of stuff being done in the interest of the community. I think it's important that we get our message out as often as we can.
I tell everybody that you've been a breath of fresh air from our perspective, certainly from the Chamber's perspective, because first of all, we were very excited to have you come because of your depth of economic development experience, and I think that's going to be critical. Let's talk about that first, because we're going through a transition in the region of Waterloo where we're creating a brand new animal. We've had Canada's Technology Triangle more or less doing some foreign direct investment, I think, on behalf of the municipalities and the region. But this is going to be a different type of organization. This is going to be really fundamentally connected to foreign direct investment. So let's talk about the new Waterloo Region Economic Development Corporation.
Yeah, I think this is an exciting opportunity for not only Cambridge but Waterloo Region as a whole. It's the first time you're going to have a coordinated effort in not only industry attraction, which is important, but the retention piece as well. Because I think it's important that, yes, a lot of energy needs to go into bringing new jobs in the community, but you can't forget about the ones that are already here. And so there will be a coordinated effort, putting resources behind ensuring that the industry we do have are comfortable here, our needs are being met, and we help them grow as well as to attract new industry.
I think that was one of your real test going forward when Bo Densmore retired and you brought on James Goodrum, the new Director of Economic Development. It was because of his strength and background in expansion and retention that you were really interested in having him.
That's correct. I've always been a key proponent of retention and keeping your finger on that pulse as well, because it also helps in the attraction piece as well, because the industries we have are our greatest ambassadors. They have far more reaching tentacles than we have ourselves. So if we can address their needs and show that we demonstrate and walk the walk, that helps in the attraction piece as well. So
yeah, because I think it's easy for you and I to say to a foreign company, hey, you should come to Cambridge. Well, of course, of course we're going to say it's a great place, but we really want to get our industries out there talking to their peers around the world as well and saying, hey, this is a great place to launch your North American operation from.
Exactly, because that's what we're trying to do as well as the economic development, because we're trying to take a much more holistic approach to economic development. It's just not the actual building and the industrial land itself. It's actually the community support it provides, be it in the cultural area, be it in the housing, be it in recreation facilities as well. All those things play into the ability to attract industry and retain them, because it's one of the things they look for. They look for safe communities and healthy communities, and so we're trying to build it all.
And I think what's really, what a lot of people, and I think businesses get it totally, but I think a lot of people, just your average everyday resident of the community doesn't know how important economic development is in creating opportunity and building our local economy.
Yeah. Well, it is one of the key factors we have, is that because as we create jobs, as we stabilize our environment, our economic environment, it allows the small business owner to thrive. It brings customers into their store. It allows people, allows people to have extra money to spend within the community as well. People to afford housing, those type of things as well. So the stronger we make our community through the baseline of industrial development as well as commercial development, the healthier the community is as a whole.
Yeah, I think so. You coming from Quinte West, originally from North Bay, you're the third CAO the City of Cambridge has had from North Bay.
That's right.
I'm not sure it's hockey players and CAOs.
Apparently.
But you coming here with kind of a fresh look. And, of course, your residence is right in the downtown.
Yes.
You overlook the magnificent
Grand River,
yes, and all the churches in the distance. Yes. You must have come here and said, my goodness, we've got a blank slate here. We could do a lot of things.
That was part of the key for me coming here, was the opportunity. I mean, Cambridge itself is perfectly situated for growth, perfectly situated for the proper kind of growth as well. The nice blend between traditional manufacturing, advanced manufacturing, and into the high tech as well. But also the opportunity that the post-secondary education institutes allow us, Conestoga College, University of Waterloo School of Architecture, and even reaching out to Laurier as well. It put all those blocks in place. We're very well positioned to move forward strongly and also in a sustainable way as well. So we're not having to sink everything into one sector or one area. We can diversify across the community.
I get the kind of the feeling that you walk down here and you look around and say, oh my goodness, this is going to be a riot. This is going to be a lot of fun.
It definitely is, and it's proven out that way as well. I mean, the relationships we've built over the last little while in dealing with the other two cities as well as the other municipalities in the region and the region itself, I think this transitioning back or looping back to our conversation on the new Economic Development Corporation, that's a good move forward for us. It's that through the cooperation, because what's good for Cambridge is good for the region and vice versa. We need to build upon that.
I think the other thing that I really enjoyed, of course, this is the second, you've been here 18 months now approximately. Second time you and I sat down just before the budget and had a really good look at it. And I think the way you present the budget, without getting into the minutia that most people don't understand, is really clear and concise from our perspective, and we really get to vision it. But more importantly than all of that is what you brought in the creative way in which we can do things, like your Back to the River projects that are going to be funded in a very unique way, maybe a way that most municipalities might not look at it that way.
Yeah, Mayor Craig set a really good agenda with the programs for emphasizing the river in the community. And so we looked at from the standpoint of not looking at it as a series of one-off projects, but looking out, 3, 4, 5, 10 years out as so you have a continuous growth along the river, right from the bottom of Galt up through Hessler as well. So we're looking at as truly community development and not just one-off developments as well. And what we try to do in the planning stage of it is make them link. They make sense together. The projects make sense together, and they also build off from a heritage component into a design component into a usability component as well. So that we're looking at everything not where we are now, but where we want to be 5 years down the road. So that's kind of the new strength we put in. And internally, the team I have internally at City Hall is fantastic in pushing that vision forward. But the vision comes from council, and council has been very strong and very supportive in taking Cambridge to the next level. And what we've seen in the first 18 months is just the beginning of doing that.
The Chamber, as you know, is strongly supportive about building community infrastructure. We're, while we, not all carry library cards, we're supportive of what's happening in downtown Galt because it's creating a new element of attraction, and more importantly, a new element of attraction that will probably bring in new investors into the community, which is really important to us. So you buy into that as well. How do we get from here to there, though? Because, the other aspect that the Chamber watches and monitors very closely is how much taxes we're paying, and we're always cognizant of that. But you're a taxpayer too. And I think people forget about that. The members of council are taxpayers too. So, but we're all in this together, and we're all in this for the benefit of the community as a whole. So how are we going to get from here to there and be responsible along the way with tax increments?
I think it goes back to the comment, not planning for today, but planning for tomorrow. Like putting the effort into the longer range plans and looking 2-3 years out. And part of that is with our new adoption, we're looking at doing a 3-year operating budget plan for the city as well. So we're looking at things. What we do today, how it's going to affect us 2 years down the road, 3 years down the road. And by doing that long-range fiscal planning as well as the physical planning, you can mitigate tax increases. You can eliminate the spikes in tax increases, as well as properly inform and consult and educate all the parties involved as to what we're doing, why we're doing it, and what we expect the benefit to be. So there may be projects we do that do add to our budget, but I think as long as we properly explain why we're doing it, then there will be that buy-in. And that's why we believe in the strong outreach to the Chamber at budget time, but also we'll go talk to anybody in the community. Be it any of the service clubs, Rotary, Kinsman, Kiwanis, whichever, any group that wants to come, we'll come and explain what we do. We strive for openness and transparency. Those can be trite words, but I mean, we try hard. We put a lot of documentation out on our budget in layman terms, so you're not looking at spreadsheets, it's actually textual. So we're really striving to engage the community with sharing of information.
We recently read in the paper there's something that's going to dramatically affect the city of Cambridge and the taxation policies going forward, and that's the arbitration agreement that came down from the province of Ontario with respects to firefighters. You mentioned it in the paper, and I think the mayor as well mentioned it, that the arbitration system is broken. How do we, aside from you and I and, all of the people we can drag together yelling and screaming, how do we make sense of the arbitration so that we can get, we're never going to get the firefighters are never going to stand up and say, yeah, your idea is a great idea, because it's going to diminish their ability at arbitration. But how do we put forward something that's sensible that the province can buy into and get strong support for?
I think it's the whole question of sustainability and the balance of needs, because we're looking at it from our perspective. The service we receive from our firefighters is top notch. It's not a question of that aspect of it. It's the sustainability of the system with the arbitration system itself. It needs to truly look at ability to pay within a municipality, and looking beyond, we have bottomless pockets. We have a lot of pieces on our plate. We talked about the development pieces we need to attract industry and keep local businesses in place. If we start biting in or eroding into that through third-party awards, it affects our ability to provide other levels of service. And then a balancing has to come in place between the arbitrated settlement and the current level of service we provide. So I think it's important that we respect the service, but also, again, make the arbitration system accountable, just as what we do internally, how we spend money is accountable on our other departments as well. And so it's us just working away through AMO and through other organizations, the larger Mayor's Caucus as well, as to getting the other provinces saying we need to relook at the system.
I had an opportunity to sit down with the Minister of Labour a few months ago in his office in Toronto, and I talked to him not just about arbitration, but I talked to him about fair and open tendering as well, with a little bit of the concern in the region of Waterloo with the Carpenters Union coming forward. But he seemed very open to it and understood, but very concerned from a political perspective. The fact of the matter is, don't we need to encourage some way politicians got to get over that? They got to do what's right.
Yeah, I can't really speak to the politics of it, but with respect to, I think our messaging has been consistent for years, is that it needs to be looked at on a community by community basis, and not what the last settlement award was. And how you look at what's good for Cambridge may not be exactly the same in places like Kapuskasing or Sudbury or places like that. It needs to be done on a community basis and with a true reflection on ability to pay, and that's all we're asking. Yeah,
I think the retention pay thing that came down a number of years ago was really based on Toronto going forward and say we're not getting enough new recruits applying, or we're not getting enough qualified recruits applying for open jobs. But it just seems to then go right across the province, and then even when Cambridge puts an ad in the paper for firefighters, we get a lineup from here to Toronto. It just doesn't seem to equate, and I think you're right. We need to have a system that really looks at individuals, municipalities, their ability to pay, and then their ability as a community to deliver those services.
That's correct.
We look at it from everything.
Yeah, exactly.
You just did a service review internally a year and a half or so ago. You're now going to do a more in-depth review. That's what you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. What we look at is from our perspective, and I look at service reviews as not a cost-cutting measure. It's actually an efficiency measure. And making sure that the revenues we were bringing in are being properly allocated to get the best level of service out to the community. And so that's the first inward look we take. And so I think we should do it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. You need to constantly review and monitor how you do things. We have a very strong, robust continuous improvement program in the city now, and that's what it's all about, is constantly evaluating how you do things and looking at ways of getting better. And whether that's taking ideas from other municipalities, or, as I like to do as much as I can, take opportunity from the private sector as well, because how they're running their business, particularly on a leadership basis, is lessons we can all apply to ourselves in the municipal sector.
I think we've often said, the dream has always been on the business side, way over here, has always said, gee, I wish the government would run itself more like a business. And then, I think the first meeting that you and I had together, you sat down and said, well, I like to bring this more, we got to run this more like a business. Now, not every aspect can, because there's some things you do that just have no return on investment, but have to be done.
Yeah, I think what it is the key is run it more business-like.
Yeah.
And actually taking advantage of lessons learned within the private sector on things like on leadership management, leadership training, because that's one of the elements that gets lost sometimes in the public sector is that you need to prepare people to lead, prepare people to manage.
Yeah.
And the better managed the corporation is or led it is, the more efficient it becomes. And so our goal is to become one of the top places to work in Canada.
Yeah.
And that's our goal. And so you can only do that by learning from the environment around you, and of which there are a lot of things going on in other municipalities, but there's a lot of great things happening in the private sector as well that we have to tie into.
Yeah. Okay, Gary, last thing I want to talk about, what exciting projects are we going to see under construction this summer?
Well, we have a lot of the Back to the Rivers project getting underway. We had the first leg of the River Walk is in Galt, to downtown Galton going forward. The pedestrian bridge design will be going forward on that.
There's a little bit of controversy around that, and I can't believe it, because you know what, I've been saying for 25 years, my gosh, we need a pedestrian bridge across the river, we need something. And you know what? That opens it up to all kinds of opportunities.
Yeah, I think the one thing that's been lost in the initial coverage of the pedestrian bridge is people are looking at the bridges just as a utility. Well, it's not a utility. It's a part of a bigger fabric of the downtown core, getting people from A to B without having to be in their car. Creating an environment whereby it becomes a destination, even just to bring and walk your dog or bring your kids down to walk downtown. That bridge is different than walking across Park Hill or walking across Main Street.
Safer.
It's safer. Yeah. It allows more pedestrian activity. Stay longer, enjoy the scenery, enjoy what the theater's right across the street. There's a number of restaurants right around the area, the School of Architecture, all those places that are open to the public that they need to be more accessible. And that's how they view the pedestrian bridge, not as a utility, as a bridge unto itself, but as part of the fabric to bring people and growth into the downtown.
It's going to really help the downtown businesses there, I think, too, because you know there are a few parking issues with the Dunfield Theater when they have a show on and it's a sellout. It's sometimes a challenge, but you know, if it's a nice summer day, you can park across the road or across the river. You could go to a restaurant in downtown, and then you could leisurely walk over to the theater and enjoy a wonderful show. I think it's wonderful.
Exactly. You know, when you tie the bridge into the post office project, we have significant upgrades being done in the Ames Street parking lot directly across from the post office, which is essentially creating another town square for us. So we have a lot of opportunity to bring festivals, events, and people into our core area, and that's only good for the business, and it's only good for the community at large if the more people we bring into town.
You know, your friend and mine, Bill Bennett, that runs Langdon Hall, had a wonderful plan years and years ago, probably a tad ahead of its time from a financial perspective, but we're here now where some of those elements can happen because he was really big on getting people back to the river, and I think he's probably one of the biggest proponents of getting back to the river as well.
Yeah, we've had lots of discussions with Bill, and a lot of his ideas are still applicable today, and we've integrated them in some of the plans we have going forward and built upon them and just added them to the ones we already have going. So I think we're getting great support from the Galt DBA as well. They see the benefit in what we're doing, and we've extended that partnership, which is great. We've opened up, we didn't mention the business liaison office, we opened up out of James Goodrum's office, where we now have direct contact for the small business into
had a lot of good comments on that. Wow, they love it.
In the City Hall, and it's really successful. Trevor McWilliams is the gentleman running that for us.
He's a great guy.
Doing a great job for us, and I think that's being appreciated in the community as well.
Yeah, I think there's no question about it. I think, you know, to some degree, the real transformation over the last 18 months since you came here is business really feels closer connected to City Hall. And I think what you know, and what maybe a lot of people out there don't realize is, you know, when myself or any business in the community or anyone in the community phone City Hall, you know, yeah, there's still some little bumps going along, but boy, oh boy, the customer service and attention to your concern has just been elevated in the last 18 months.
Yeah, and the overarching theme of customer service is huge for us now, because our goal is we won't always give people everything they want. But our goal is to find out how we can get them as close as they can. We're still a regulatory body, so there will be times we say no. But our goal is to help people move their projects forward and best what they can.
You kind of hope as a parent, you get to the end of the days and the kids say, I know you said no a lot, but you were still a good parent. You know, and I think that's, you know, really what we need to look for at our city is a cooperative relationship, and I certainly see that changing in that direction.
Yeah, and that's our goal, Greg, and it's the relationship we have with the Chamber has been wonderful that way. We've been able to build it out into the DBAs, as I mentioned, not only in Galt, but Hesper, Preston as well, as well as our neighboring municipalities working more together on projects as opposed to being insular and looking inward.
Yeah, I think that's critically important. We'll probably cover that as this new economic development organization gets up and running full steam later in the year. But the level of cooperation, there's no question about it. I think what you've really delivered is the message that, hey, we really want to be engaged and we want to cooperate, but to some degree we got to be included in the discussions along the way. And I think that's maybe what was missing.
Exactly, and I think we want to participate in all. You can change more as part of a team as opposed to not being on a team.
That's for sure. Gary, it's been great. It's been great to have you here for 18 months. It's going to be better to have you here for 18 years, but and we can see all of our dreams and maybe go to your retirement party right here in Cambridge. But in any event, Gary, thanks very much for stopping in. We'll do this again on a regular basis so that we can make sure that we keep everybody up to date.
My pleasure.
Thank you.